Continuing with the 15th chapter of The Indian in the Cupboard, Underfloor Adventure. Little Bear has just found the key to the cupboard, which will help Boone, who he shot with an arrow. They are going to bring back Tommy, the medic from World War I. Omri took it from him, thrust the plastic man into the cupboard, and turned the key. He made himself count to 10 while Patrick watched, pop-eyed and scarcely breathing. Then he opened the door. There stood his old friend Tommy, his bag at his feet, rubbing his eyes and frowning around him. His face cleared when he saw Omri. "Well, if it ain't you again! I don't half pick my moments to drop off to sleep, I must say. Thundering giant Minnie whining overhead, I thought I was a goner." "What's a Minnie?" asked Patrick in a croaky voice. "What, another have you?" asked Tommy, gaping. "I must have eaten too much cheese for me dinner." "Shouldn't give us cheese before a big attack. Very hard on the stomach, especially when it's churned up anyway, with nerves. What's a Minnie?" "It's our name for a Minniewerfer. That's one of them big German shells. Makes an horrible row, they do. Even before they land, a sort of whistle that gets louder and louder, and then kaboom! Then blokes with my job is to pick themselves up and run as quick as you like to where it fell. If it fell in the trenches, to take care of the wounded." "We've got a wounded man here we want you to take care of," said Omri quickly. "Oh, yes, the old redskin again, is it?" "No, it's another one. Could you step onto my hand?" Omri lifted him to where Boone lay, and Tommy at once knelt down beside him and began a professional examination. "He's in a bad way," he said after a few moments. "Could do with a blood transfusion, really. I'll have to have this bandage off. And look at his wound!" He was cutting it off with a minute pair of scissors as he spoke. As the bandage opened up, the anxious watchers saw that the tuft of tissue was now red with blood, but Tommy said, "Bleeding stopped. That's one good thing. What was it, a bullet?" "An arrow," said Omri, and Little Bear shivered all over. "Oh, yes, of course, I see it now. Well, I'm not much up on arrow wounds. Head's not still in there, I hope." "No, it was pulled out." Good. Lucky it missed his heart. Well, I'll see what I can do." He got the hypodermic out of the bag and fiddled with it for a moment, then plunged the needle into Boone's chest. After that, he stitched up the wound, put a field dressing on it, and got Little Bear to help him peel off the rest of the old blood-stained Band-Aid. "You a pal of his, are you?" he asked the Indian. Little Bear stared at him, but did not deny it. "Then look here. When he wakes up, you keep giving him these here pills. They're iron, see? Build him up. And these as well, they're for the pain. What we have to hope is that there won't be no infection." "We need penicillin for him," said Patrick, who had once had a bad cut on his foot that had turned septic. Tommy looked at him blankly. "Penicillin? What's that?" Omri nudged Patrick. "They haven't discovered it in his time," he whispered. "Best thing I can suggest is a drop of brandy," said Tommy, and taking out a flask, poured something down Boone's throat. "Look there," he said cheerfully. "He's getting a better colour already. He'll open his eyes soon, I wouldn't wonder. Keep him warm, that's the ticket. Now I must be getting back waking up. I mean, if there's a Minnie landed, I'll be in demand, and no mistake." Omri carried him back to the cupboard. "Tommy," he said, what if the Minnie had fallen on you?" "Couldn't have done, could it? If it had have, I wouldn't be having this here dream, would I? I'd be singing with an heavenly choir. Cheerably, hurry up and shut the door. I think I can hear 'em calling stretcher-bearer already." Omri smiled gratefully at him. He hated to send him back, but obviously he wanted to go. "Goodbye, Tommy. Thanks and good luck." And he shut the door. From the other end of the table, Little Bear suddenly called, "Omri, come! Boone, open eyes! Boone, wake up!" Omri and Patrick turned. Sure enough, there was Boone staring up into Little Bear's face. "What happened?" he got out in a faint, shaky voice. Nobody liked to tell him, but at last Little Bear had to confess. "I shoot," he said. "What you talking about, you crazy Indian? I asked you what happened in the picture. Did them settlers beat the Redskins to get what they was aiming to get to? Or did the Redskins carry off the women and scalp all the men, the dirty low-down savages?" Little Bear drew in his breath. His head, which had been hanging in shame, came up sharply, and to Omri's horror, he actually saw his hand go to his belt for his knife. Luckily it wasn't there, but he jumped to his feet. "Boone, shut mouth! Not insult Indian braves, or Little Bear shoot again. This time kill good. Take scalp. Hang on pole. Boone's scalp too dirty. Hang on belt of Indian chief. Then he snatched his chief's cloak off Boone's body and swirled it proudly back around his own shoulders. Omri was shocked, but Patrick was laughing so hard he could scarcely hold it in. But he controlled himself enough to wrap Boone up in the cutout blanket to keep him warm. Omri snatched Little Bear up between finger and thumb. "Oh, so you're a chief again, are you?" he hissed furiously. "Chiefs ought to know how to keep their tempers. Here!" He picked up the broken headdress off the floor and fitted it lopsidedly on Little Bear's head. "Now, Chief, have a good look at yourself." And he held Little Bear up before a mirror. Little Bear took one look and then hid his face in his hands. "Just you remember what you did to your friend." "Not friend, enemy," muttered Little Bear, but the anger had gone out of him. "Whatever he is, you've got a job to do. Where are those pills? You're to see that he gets them. We can't even see them, so it's up to you. And when Boone is better, do you know what you're going to do? You're going to make him your blood brother." Little Bear shot him a quick, startled look. "Blood brother?" "You both make cuts on your wrists and tie them together so the blood mingles, and after that you can't be enemies ever again. It's an old Indian custom." Little Bear looked baffled. "Not Indian custom." "I'm sure it is. It was in a film I saw. White man idea, not Indian." "Well, couldn't you do it just this once?" Little Bear was silent for a moment, thinking. Then Omri saw that crafty look he knew of old coming into the Indian's face. "Good," he said. "Little Bear give Boone medicine, make him my brother when strong, and Omri put plastic in box, make real wife for Little Bear." "Not tonight," said Omri firmly. "We've had enough excitement. Tonight you stand guard over Boone, give him his pills when he needs them, drinks of water and all that. Tomorrow, when everything's all right, I'll bring your woman to life. That's a promise." And that is the end of Chapter 15.